So, if you are tired of draining your savings whenever life gets expensive, then this presentation is for you. The goal today is understanding what liquid property blueprint is and how you can take advantage of it to spend your money without touching your savings. Okay, now let's get started. Why should you listen to me? Maybe this is the first time you're seeing me, or you already know me. So I think it makes sense for me to introduce myself a little bit more. And so you understand the context for which I am doing this presentation. So, hello, my name is Lady Teresa. I am a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an author, I'm a coach, and I'm a trainer. I came to Canada May 2020 with my family with no savings and investment because we emptied everything into relocation cost. If you know what happened in 2020, that was the heat of COVID, everything was like scattered. The flight fares tripled. But I still had to come because I was pregnant at the time, and that was the earliest I could come if I still wanted to have my baby here. Now, that experience changed me because I promised myself that I would never build a future that required me to start from scratch every single time there's an expensive purchase, either a trip, either a home, or any other thing that life could throw at us. Then I learned the liquid property strategy, and it was an eye opener for me. I could structure money to keep working for me while I use the same money doing something else. This is what you call multiple jobs for your dollar. Okay, and as of today, I earn active income, passive income, and residual income from home without a 9 to 5, and I also have a liquid property valued at 1.4 million. It is my mission to show immigrant moms and the men in their lives because some people say I don't talk to men. No, my core audience are immigrant moms, but I also help the men in their lives. And I want to show you that you too can buy assets without draining your savings, period. Now, this is an example of my liquid property. This liquid property gives me peace of mind and it gives me assurance that the two problems in life that must happen are taken care of. And what are those two problems in life? You either get to retirement or you will die. And this is not a curse, it is just facts. You either get to retirement, which means your income has stopped and you're now earning much lower than you were earning while you were working, or you might get to die and you have liabilities, you have family depending on you, you have expenses. In case you didn't know, debt in Canada is very, very expensive. Now, in our meeting, one on one meeting, I'll be able to explain this liquid property much better. But for now, this is just a snapshot of it. You can see the value is $1.4 million. You can see the equity is about $20,000 plus. You can see the illness protection is $25,000. We will break it down in our one-on-one. Okay. Now, what are you going to learn today from this presentation? We're going to keep it simple and then you can decide only after you see the maths. So we're looking at benefit of cash value life insurance because that is the basis or the foundation of liquid property. We're going to look at how borrowing against cash value life insurance works. We're going to talk about the two pathways. You can either borrow against it to buy assets or borrow against it to buy home. So it could be specifically home or other assets. All right. And we're going to talk about the cost, the risk, and what we'll collect from you if you're interested. Okay. Now, I need to put this what's the word? I need to put this disclaimer that this strategy is not for everybody. It is only for disciplined savers who value control and who can commit to a monthly premium. It is for immigrants who prefer structure over hype. This is not a hype. This is not a money making scheme. This is not those kind of things. This is just a proper structure that gives you peace of mind and that can allow you spend and buy assets without draining your savings. Okay, so this is not for anybody that is looking for a shortcut or looking for guarantee or who is unwilling to follow this plan. All right, now let's talk about the benefits. These are the benefits of cash value life insurance. And the reason I put this core benefit is you might just decide, okay, I just want to get this. I don't want to leverage, I don't want to borrow, I don't want the strategy. I just want to get the cash value insurance. And that's why I have this slide here. So, number one benefit is that your family is protected from day one. Number two, the money grows quietly in the background, so you don't have any yearly slip. If you put money in your bank account, especially in a savings account, even if you have interest of $1, $2, that bank is going to send you a tax slip, which means they have sent a copy of that same tax slip to CRA, and which means you are owing tax on that money. But the money you have in your cash value life insurance is growing quietly, is compounding, and it is also growing tax free. Okay, mortgage protection and life protection will be under one roof if you have a cash value life insurance, which means that your mortgage payment is reduced because they are not including mortgage life insurance inside of it, and which means your family is protected if life is short. Then the money passes directly to your loved ones. No probate, no judge, nothing. Your family gets it tax free, and they don't have to start selling other assets that you have just so that they don't become broke. You understand what I mean? So it's a simple, powerful legacy for you. In many cases, creditor protection helps keep the money safer. If you're owing the bank or you're owing anybody, they might freeze your account, they might report you, but they can never touch the money inside this plan. You choose how much to put in, when, and how. If you had a regular mortgage, for example, the bank tells you how much you have to pay, and you cannot afford to miss just one. There will be a tendency that you might lose your house. But with this one, it's very flexible. You choose how much you want to put in, you choose when you want to put it. You can pause after a couple of years and you can top up or adjust as you deem fit. Okay? A future emergency fund also is applicable here, and it doesn't live in a low yield savings account. A lot of people, when they want to set up an emergency fund, money that they are putting aside for emergency, they usually put it in the bank, and that bank is giving them 0.5 or even less, 0.5% or less. But you can put your emergency fund inside this plan, and it is growing at an average of 10 to 12% per annum, and you can access it literally within a week because I tested it out. Okay. Now, growth inside the policy can also be tax advantaged. I have talked about borrowing against it. When you borrow against it, you don't pay tax, but when you're withdrawing from any of the other accounts except a TFSA, you pay tax. Okay? They have long-term perks that can add extra value over time. So when you get to retirement age, there are some benefits like old age security, guaranteed income supplement that you might be eligible for. However, it is subject to if you have money or not in your RRSP and TFSA, because the government can see those accounts, but the government cannot touch this one, they cannot see this one. So even when you have money here, you still get those benefits. But when you have money in the other account, you may not get those benefits. Okay? You also get living benefits that can put cash in your hands when life hits, either through illness, disability, or even compassionate benefits. Okay? Now, what is the big idea of this presentation? The big idea is stop borrowing or stop withdrawing your lump sum savings, borrow against it. When you want to buy a house, don't just withdraw from your savings account and use it to buy a house, because what happens is that that money is zero now. You don't have that money anymore, but you have a house. How about if you can borrow against it so that you still have the money and you still have your house? Because withdrawing stops compound interest. When you withdraw from your account, maybe you're saving for a down payment, you've saved $50,000, and then you withdraw it and lump it inside your mortgage as down payment. You've lost the interest that would have been coming in if it was still invested for you. But borrowing against it uses that policy as collateral so that the growth can still continue. And the result is that your dollars are now doing two jobs. So instead of you doing multiple jobs, why not have your money doing multiple jobs? Let it fund the goal, either buying a house or buying an asset, while it is also still compounding. All right. Now, If you don't want to, let's say you're not buying a house or you've already bought a house, you're looking for how you can still leverage it to buy other assets, this is the step by step. Okay, so let's say you're starting a business or you want to pay for education or you're buying a vehicle or you're even going on vacation, it doesn't matter. You just want to spend big money without resetting your savings to zero. This is the step by step. Step one, open and fund a cash value policy. Okay, choose a comfortable monthly amount. Do not overstress yourself. This is not like the bank mortgage where you're paying thousands. Choose something that is comfortable for you. Number two, add a lump sum. That money you want to use to start a business, that money you want to use to go to school, that money you want to use to buy a car, put it inside this if you have it. That way you're building the cash value faster. Then step three, borrow against it to fund the asset. Step four, you still keep that policy, that money is still invested and it's still compounding and it continues in the background. You can now repay from cash flow because you're still maybe earning income or you've started that business, money is now coming. You can now use that to put the money back in your policy without affecting the initial money because it's still growing for you. Okay, so literally what that means is that you are using the insurance company's money to do your business instead of using your own money. And that's what wealthy people do. Back home in Nigeria, then I used to work in the bank, they called it cash backed overdraft. So a wealthy person comes to the bank, has like 100 million naira in the bank, but they will not touch it. They will tell the bank, give me an overdraft of 80 million. They will go and spend that 80 million, do business, make more money, and their 100 million is still invested and still growing. So that gives you a context on how this works. Okay. Now let's talk about the home purchase option because the home purchase option has an extra step that is optional, which is the RRSP loan. Okay, step one, you fund the policy, place the down payment inside the policy. Step two, you start an RRSP loan to top up and increase your tax refund. This is optional, but it's very handy. It comes in very handy because step three, you borrow against that policy to clear the RRSP loan after you've collected your huge refund from CRA. Step 4, you use the home buyer's plan to draw the down payment from your RRSP. The outcome is that you buy your house while your policy is still compounding and you might still have RRSP interest. All right, so that is three assets instead of just two. Now, everything I've talked about, there are benefits, there are costs, there are risks, and I feel like it makes sense to not just tell you the benefit, but also to tell you the risks and the cost associated with it. Okay, so number one, there'll be policy loan charges and also funding limits. If you're using RRSP loan, you can't just ask for any amount. Okay, number two, I've talked about the loan interest, I've talked about lending limits, I've talked about, it's also based on the cash value. So the longer, I always tell people, if your goal is like, if you want to buy a house in the next 2 years, then start now so that by that time you have enough cash value to borrow. Okay, because they are not giving you extra money, they are borrowing you against your cash value. Okay, then the RRSP has rules, the home buyers plan have rules. When we meet, we're able to break all these things down. And you don't even commit until you are sure that the number makes sense. Also, life insurance is not available for everybody. All right, we need to know if you are insurable, meaning do you have any health conditions, what's your age, do you smoke, so many of those things will determine your eligibility. Okay, and also the investment, the growth on that investment is not guaranteed. Just like every other investment in stocks and shares, it is based on market performance, but we usually put it inside S&P 500, and for the past 30 years it has averaged 10 to 12%. So we are pretty confident that it will do well, but we always like to state it here. If you're not someone who is willing to take a little bit of risk, then this is not for you. Okay, but we always stress test it and make sure that whatever we're putting in or whatever we're giving you can still cover it in a worst case scenario. Okay, Now, what do I need from you to run your numbers whenever you're ready? I just need your goal. Are you buying a house? When are you buying the house? How much is it? If you're starting a business, what's the budget? Then what's your age and what's your family size? Are you single, married? Do you have kids? How many kids? What are their ages? Right? Then we do your insurance need. We need to know exactly how much insurance you can actually ask for. And then we understand what your monthly disposable income is. All right, this is not an expense, this is an investment. All right, so let's say it's $500 you can conveniently bring out for this purpose. Then we identify that, and then we also find out what your RRSP contribution room is if you're looking at that option. Okay, we need to know your age, your smoking status, or any medical concerns to determine eligibility. All right, so this is just a step by step of how this process works. We do some illustrations, then we check a side by side withdrawal versus borrowing. If you withdraw, this is what it looks like. If you borrow, this is what it looks like. We check your cash flow impact, the debt benefit impact, and then you make a decision. So we are only proceeding if it clearly fits your goals. This is what makes it amazing. I'm not collecting your money, we're not collecting your money. We do the illustration, then you can grab it if it makes sense to you. Okay, so but like I said, this is just a general information. The product details, the tax outcomes depend on your specific situation and the contract. But these are common questions people ask. Is it legal in Canada? Yes. Everything we're doing is actually, if you go to CRA website, they actually mention things like this. Okay, does it speed up buying? No. Like I said, they're not giving you extra money. People always think that, oh, I'm telling them that we can give them extra loan. No, this is just you borrowing against your savings instead of spending your savings. And the reason you're borrowing against your savings is so that you can still keep getting interest on your savings. Does that make sense, right? So, can I do this without RSP? Yes, you can just go through the normal route. I showed you two options. First option is just have the policy, fund the policy, borrow against the policy. The RISP slash home buyers plan is just an extra if that's what you want to do. Okay, what if I'm not insurable? If you're not insurable, we can now look at other options, but this is just the basic information. Okay, does that make sense? So the next step, if you've watched it up to here and you're still interested, then congratulations. All you need to do is to click the link. This video will probably come to you. I don't know if it came to you on YouTube or if someone sent it to you, but whoever sent it to you will put a link, like a meeting link. So all you have to do is click that link, book a time, and then we can now share, run your own illustrations, and we can decide together based on the fit, based on the cost versus benefit, and based on your comfort level.